The National Journal released an interesting story about George W. Bush. So take a look. It's hardly a secret that the Bush clan has little use for President Trump, but like his dad, President George W. Bush, refrains from criticizing Trump frontally. That doesn't mean he thinks Trump is doing well. He doesn't. And when chatter at Republican gatherings, social events, or Bush's under-the-radar speeches touches on Trump's troubles, a quiet satisfaction sometimes creeps into 43's official neutrality. Without chiming in with the Trump critics, Bush is often heard to remark, unable to stifle his trademark smirk, "Sort of makes me look pretty good, doesn't it?" He's shaking his head like everyone else, wondering why they can't get their act together, a Republican official closely allied with the current White House told National Journal. He wants the guy to succeed, but thinks a lot of his problems are self-inflicted. Wow. So I'll read you that one more time. This is George W. Bush on Donald Trump. Quote, "Sort of makes me look pretty good, doesn't it?" Yeah. No. No, it doesn't. Nothing makes you look good. Now, the sad reality is the polls do not reflect my position on this at all. At all. The polls reflect what George W. Bush is saying. People actually believe that he looks good now. His approval rating has bounced back so much to the point that now 51% of Democrats have a favorable view of George W. Bush. A majority of Democrats have a favorable view of George W. Bush. The last Republican president who crashed the economy, started 2 wars. One of them was an illegal war against a country that didn't attack us, the war in Iraq. Did torture, did warrantless NSA spying, collecting all of your metadata. So we have a war criminal who crashed the economy. And the majority of the Democratic Party is like, yeah, I like that guy now because something Trump. So it's a shame that people don't agree with me on this, and the polls are reflecting that George W. Bush is actually right, but that shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be the case. And that's why I'm doing this segment, is to remind everybody, it's such a hacky argument to make to try to rehabilitate war criminals in order to try to make the point that Trump is bad. I agree that Trump is bad. Trump is horrendous. But stop rehabilitating monsters in the process of trying to make the point that Trump is bad. And I've seen many people who are smart people who I agree with on most things do this. And it's just so hacky. And it paints you as not a serious person who cares about the policy issues. Because if you cared about the policy issues, there's no amount of Trump shittiness that rehabilitates George W. Bush. Like Keith Olbermann, who during the Bush years, everybody looked at him, oh my God, he's kind of like a heroic figure ranting against the wars. Wow, look at him. He really cares about the innocent women and children being killed in Iraq. Turns out, no, it was just rank partisan bullshit. That's why Keith Olbermann was doing his rants. Because now he says he apologized to George W. Bush and acts like, nope, they weren't that bad. Trump is really bad. Bill Maher was like, I was wrong about Bush. Trump is the real fucking thing. Listen, Trump is horrendous, and you can make that point without rehabilitating George W. Bush. Donald Trump increased drone strikes by 432%, killed countless civilians with his drone strikes. He's bombing 8 different countries right now. I mean, this is a guy who just allowed predatory payday lenders to charge 950% interest. He scrapped the rules that were going to clean up that industry because he's corrupt. He's got Goldman Sachs littered in his administration. Steve Mnuchin, Goldman Sachs guy, Treasury Secretary. Are you fucking kidding me? There's a million things you could point to. One of Trump's first moves as president was to raise taxes on the middle class. He got rid of a first-time home buyer mortgage deduction. So that net raises taxes on middle class people. Okay, you could point to this. You could point to the fact that his tax bill goes to 83% of the benefits go to the top 1%. He raises taxes on everybody making $75,000 a year or less over a 10-year period. There are so many things you can point to. So many fucking things you could point to. But no. They want to argue Bush is now not that bad because Trump is bad. And by the way, in the service of making the point that Trump is bad, what you'll find is partisan Democrats usually make shitty arguments, man. Just really bad fucking arguments, whether it's Russia related or whether it's Stormy Daniels or whatever kind of private life nonsense. Or my new favorite one is, I love Jake Tapper did a segment thinking he's like super owning Trump, where he showed the turnover in Trump's administration. On the list of shit as to why Donald Trump is a monster, the fact that there's a high turnover in his administration doesn't even make the list. Now, I get the point they're trying to make, like, oh my God, he's so unhinged and he has such a fucking, he's so unfit for the job that he can't even keep people in the job around him. Like, I get the point you're trying to make, but my whole thing is I like to make arguments that have a chance of swaying even Trump's biggest critics. So, in other words, there's this idea, instead of straw manning your opponent, like, oh, I'm going to give the worst possible portrayal of your argument to then knock it down, I like to steel man my opponent. So give them their strongest argument, and then if you disagree, argue against the strongest version of their argument. I like to do the same thing with Trump. I don't like to give the fucking easy, low-hanging fruit shit that'll just make partisan Democrats clap like seals. Like, I don't want to make those arguments because that's hacky. That's fucking hacky. So if you're going to go after Trump, go after him on all the things where it is fucking undeniable that even somebody who's a Trump defender, if you bring up the facts about how he's a sellout and he's doing the bidding of the predatory payday loan industry, they can't deny that. And if they deny that, they're just wrong. And you can look them in the eye and say, you are fucking incorrect. But no, they don't want to do that. They want to do the hacky arguments about fucking Stormy Daniels and Russia and the high turnover in his administration. That's what they want to do. They want to act like he's president, he's Vladimir Putin's puppet. These are the arguments they make. And then they put themselves in a position where they're making nothing but shitty arguments against Trump, and then that helps Trump. And one of those shitty points is, man, isn't George W. Bush great now? Because then it all looks like political theater, and it looks like nothing matters. Because back during the Bush administration, you all told us Bush was a monster. And you were right about that. You were right about that. I'm arguing for your old position. When you used to say Bush was a monster, I'm here to go, yes, he's a fucking monster. Look at what he fucking did. At least 200,000 innocent Iraqi civilians are dead as a result of what he did. They tortured innocent people. He's a monster. But when you used to say that, and now you say Bush isn't that bad, oh, well, now you're just a hack and you're a partisan loser. And you will make any point in service of arguing that Trump is bad. It doesn't matter if the critique is from the right or the left. It doesn't matter if it's principled or not. You'll just fucking fling mud against the wall and hope it sticks. And you're not winning people over when you do that. Because most people can see through your cynical fucking ploy. So just please, for all that's fucking holy in the world, stop rehabilitating George W. Bush to shit on Trump. Shit on George W. Bush and shit on Trump. Because they're both terrible and they both should be shit on.